Welcome to Forever Exiled. I am Justin, aka Tags.
Tyler, Record of Days.
Episode 163 of this here podcast we've been doing since 2019.
Yep. Is it?
Yep.
Is it
2019.
January, right? We started at the beginning of the year,
December.
didn't we?
December.
Oh, what a way to
think.
ruin everything.
I think it was after ExileCon. After I came back from ExileCon.
But I think let's just do
I
January.
don't actually know when our
the math's
first
so
episode
easy.
was. Well, I think it was December.
Isn't that awesome though? Like if your company started like the last week of December, and then you get to say established since, and you get that extra
2019.
year.
Bunch of liars.
I do love it though when you see a van driving by. It's like established since 2020. You're like, way to go!
I'm not sure if. Yeah, those things only matter to me if they're like long. December 12th, 2019 was our first episode.
Really?
Yeah, you should have that. I'm sure as like a. Do you have that as a date thing that you do?
Congratulations to us.
On
Get
our
out of
first
here.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Well, you can put it in.
Anyway,
I've already forgotten the date. I've already forgotten that it was December 12th. Yeah.
We're almost there. Anyway, episode 163, Forever Exiled. Big shout out to our patrons, Mr. EJ, for joining our Patreon this week. Thank you very much. Thanks to everybody else who supports the podcast. We love your faces. If you're curious what Patreon gets, besides, esteem and recognition worldwide, you get access to After Dark, which is our podcast after the podcast, where we just continue to talk and chat and have a good time and sometimes get disturbed. I'm thinking specifically around tacos, but you never know what you're going to get in After Dark.
My tacos, buddy, are amazing.
So
last week, was it last week? No, 2 weeks ago.
BK. Yeah, it was when we had BK on.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago. Oh my goodness, for you non page, BK and Justin were the worst. They were total douchebags, and we had a lot of fun, by the way. Like it's pretend douchebags, but they were douchebags, and they were totally making fun. Did you know, people? I didn't know this, but apparently Justin and BK let me know 2 weeks ago that there is a wrong way to eat tacos. There's wrong ingredients to put in tacos,
and Tyler does it. So anyway, you never know what you're going to get in After Dark. It's always a lot of fun. And I am bringing up that taco actually in After Dark this week. But big shout out to all of our patrons. Thanks so much for supporting. We love your faces and we really appreciate it.
You know how we're like 99% Path of Exile content for us? It's like
I always go
1%.
for like 73.
No, don't be accurate. 1%. Like
I do it for the YouTube people because they're my favorite.
99% is Path of Exile. Well, After Dark's about 98% Path of Exile.
I mean, although that 2% that's or that 98%, that's like high level. Like that's where we talk about the details that you.
Well, it's funny. Like I was just talking. There's a lady that I've been walking with the last couple of weeks every now and then to school and back, or we see each other while we're walking our dogs. And gosh, you're a douche. And anyway, she has a young puppy, and so we're talking about dogs and stuff. And I'm like, my dog's really, really obedient. There's just like a real small percentage of stuff that she's disobedient on. But then you do the list and it's like, it's getting excited about people and it's food. And it's like that stuff that of course could be incorporated into every aspect of the day. So obviously it's not a small percentage, but I do. That's the kind of math I use when I'm doing our Path of Exile content. Anyway, speaking
accurate math.
It's good math. The formula makes sense.
It's good math.
We math good. So,
yes, we do.
But speaking of special thingies, that the whole like special events and stuff, the dates of recognition, November 25, 2006, GGG was incorporated. And
where do you get this? This is a wiki thing.
I don't know where I got it from. It's probably
awesome.
Completely wrong. No, I think there was a time where I looked it up. So wherever I got the information from, it's obviously
it's got to be right. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
I just emailed them all right, I want your incorporation date. I want your alpha date. I want your beta
anniversaries,
date.
birthdays.
That's right. Anyway, I think if my math is right, 16 years ago.
Oh, cool.
GGG became a thing. So.
Yay.
Is that going to get in?
Maybe.
Can you try and remember to get my clap in? Okay, good.
Of course I will.
I'm going to talk during it, so now it has to go in. See, now Justin can't get rid of it. Excellent. There you go.
Let's see what I can do with that.
Did you, Justin? No, I'm asking you. How was your week, Justin?
My week was good. It was, again, it was busy.
Okay. Drink number one.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. And then I was like, do I say it? It was actually a lot of meetings this week, which was fine. I got to do some driving between our offices, which I enjoyed.
Okay.
And we finished watching the Handmaiden's Tale. So we're finished up to.
There was just a joke on Discord, people. That's why I'm saying the drinks. Every time Justin said busy or meeting, people were going to take a drink. So,
listen,
good luck.
I had many meetings. There were meetings. They were work meetings. Go ahead and
family meetings. Yeah, that's right.
So we finished Handmaiden's Tale last night, actually. And I have, in the time that I've had, which hasn't been a ton, but I've been playing still God of War, Ragnarok on the PlayStation 5. So fun, man. That game is really good. Like, it's so good at letting me just explore and completely getting rewarded for it, but none of the exploring is monotonous. Like, there's at no time have I felt like I'm just repeating some of the same
Assassin's
things.
Creed style stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They've done such a good job of like making the fun doing the stuff onto the side be very rewarding, but also it's all intertwined story wise. And no matter what you're doing side mission wise, everything applies to the main story, which I really enjoy that. That's been a lot of fun to do and like figure out it's like puzzles, right? You're trying to figure out how you're going to get through different areas. And it's a lot of buttons though, like because you're controlling yourself, but also as you're fighting, you can give commands to the person who's with you. And then some of the puzzles require you to also use combinations. So I don't know. I've been having a lot of fun with it. But I was laughing with my wife this morning because I woke up. So we were just chatting this morning and she was like, how'd you sleep? I said, good. And she said, yeah, I was active dreaming all night. And I said, I had the weirdest dream last night. Okay. So also through this week, I've started taking like 20 minutes when I have my lunch just to, if I'm working from home on that day, I'll throw on like part of an episode of Seinfeld. For some reason, I'm watching through some of the old Seinfelds. But my dream last night somehow incorporated God of War, like environment and characters, with the drama of Handmaiden's Tale and random quips from Seinfeld. And it was like, I remember it. It was a dream that I like legit remember. And it was, I don't know, just cracked me up that I had somehow combined those three not even closely related things and created it was just a whole evening of them. And I had a great time. So.
That's awesome.
Otherwise though.
You remember some stories you always say about, like, I asked you about
happened last night, so it was good.
Yeah, right.
Last night, so it helped. Otherwise, the week was fine. My kids are doing good. Went out for dinner last night, which was nice. And starting to do some Christmas shopping, getting stuff ready for Christmas, trying to do it a little bit earlier this year. Yeah. And it was good. It was, the weather's freaking freezing cold, but I like that. I actually kind of like this temperature too. Like I do definitely like the warmer weather, but I'm not averse or I'm not against this type of weather, but it's cold, man.
We had some windy gusts yesterday. I had to go get my
Did
front
you have
door
the power
mat.
flicker? Yes, 2 nights ago.
It always flickers, man.
Oh man, yeah. I was like, don't you dare. Don't you dare. And then I got up to go to the washroom and I was using the washroom and all of a sudden it flickered and I'm like, no.
I can't aim without the lights.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, that's funny. Well,
anyway,
just start sitting, Justin. You're old enough. You can sit without guilt, without shame.
You gotta get back up.
Yeah. You know what though?
It's a lot of work.
The bathroom cleaners, they always sit. They don't risk it. It's mitigation, man. Mitigation. Right. And we'll get into mitigation later today. Well, look at that segue.
How was your week?
It was good. It was normal. I mean, yesterday was funny. I had to go get, so we have this big flower pot. Well, it's not big, of course, but like it's nice and wide. It's maybe 14 inches wide. It's nice and it's full of dirt and the flowers are still on it. So I haven't unearthed it yet or anything. And it was like 15 feet away from my steps. We have it on our doorstep. It was like 15 feet away from our steps because of how the wind was gusting around yesterday, which was fun. And my mat, which is about 5 by 3 feet, I had to go get it from the neighbor's yard, like the far side of my neighbor's yard yesterday. Wow. Yeah, and we have like this massive barrier of rhododendrons and cedars dividing us because, you know, neighbors, get away from me, right?
Yeah,
she's fantastic, by the way. She's a great lady. But anyway, it was like almost like scratching up her Tesla. So I had to go get that. And then I awkwardly had to get it at the same time. I didn't even know she was outside, but I went when I realized the wind was blowing my stuff around. I go outside, get it. And she's outside and I'm like, oh, sorry. not like wandering on your property for no reason. But yeah, no, it was that. But it was actually really freaky for me because I had a really weird week health wise, and so I didn't want to do. There was a few important things that my wife needed and I needed to do today in regards to like dealing with Home Depot and making some decisions. And then I have, of course, the newspaper route, which my whole week plans around because of the effort required. And so there were a few days where my brain was just mush. And so I watched TV for a couple of days, which was weird. Totally guilty. Like the house is an absolute disaster now, but for maybe one yesterday while the kids are at school and then a tiny bit for the day before. And I watched Midnight Mass, Netflix original. It's a 7-episode series, but every episode's an hour to an hour, 20 minutes. And so you haven't heard of it. I highly suggest it.
I love shows that are that long though each.
Yeah.
I really do.
And it's just a mini series, so it's just like a 10-hour movie. Cool. And like I like stories about the Bible, but not stories where it's like a movie where it's just trying to convert everybody, like the audience that's watching it. I like it more just when there's stories of all these normal people like us, but with good and bad and twisted and this, but it revolves around like it's not scared to talk about that content. But so it's really cool. So this priest comes to an island, a very secluded island, and all of a sudden weird things start happening that people can't explain. And it was very cool. I highly suggest it, but I'm still thinking about it and processing it. So I still don't know what I think about it, but I know I liked it a lot. So anyway, I watched Midnight Mass, and there's some creepy parts in there that really make you like jump, or it's like, you pause the movie and you look behind you and you're like,
I'm fine.
Yeah, there's nothing, nothing behind me. Right. So I actually I had to watch the movie with like hunkered down so that my neck wasn't exposed above my couch. And so it's while I'm feeling all jittery like this that all of a sudden I hear outside with all my stuff blowing around with the wind, and then the branches scraping that against the window. So Midnight Mass. It's pretty nice. Good. But no, I had a normal week outside of that. I also enjoy this weather. It's nice. It's just, I mean, Justin and I right now we're in like -5-degree weather, but there's no snow. So it's nice. It's like a cold spring. You can bundle up for it. It smells like winter, but you don't have to deal with all the stupid slush, which we get a lot of.
Through most of the day at about 0, which it's cold, but it's like, I don't know. It's way worse if it gets windy. So yeah, the wind hasn't been so bad through the day. I got to give you props though. You did this whole "How was your week" without notes, which is impressive. I'm impressed, bud. Well done.
Me and my memory. What can I say?
You and your memory. I was going to say also one thing I forgot to say. I went and got a haircut this week at a new place that I haven't been to before.
Okay.
And it was recommended to me by one of the guys in my office. He had mentioned that he had gone there, and so I checked them out. And I wanted to find somewhere to go where I can book an appointment. I like
What's
to be
wrong
able
with
to
your
go
old
online.
place?
I've switched twice, but sort of she went back to working from her house. And so I would go to her house, but it's just really hard to book it. Like my schedule is quite packed. And so I want something where I can like go online, find a time that works for me, and then just book that time. I don't want to have to like call or text to try and like arrange what works for them, what works for me.
Like a back and forth.
Yeah. It's just, it becomes really hard. So this was like, you can go online, you can book the appointment, find out what works best for me. And now that I've met this individual, because it's a large group of guys that do this, a barber shop. Now I'm just going to tell him which days I want. He's just going to set me up, because I tend to get my haircut every 2 to 3 weeks. It's actually been every 2 weeks.
That is so crazy.
I'm switching to every 3. My hair grows fast. And so, and even he said,
you're not some sort of monstrosity.
It is, man. When he was cutting my hair, he's like, how long has it been since your last one? I said, it's been about 2.5 weeks. And he's like, even he's not cut my hair before, thought that it had been over a month. So my hair does grow fast, and I don't like my hair to touch my ears.
See, that's what it is.
It is.
That's what it is.
But that's how fast it grows. My hair is a 0.5 on the side, and it grows to touch my ear, like over the ear. It comes over the ear within 2 to 3 weeks. And I just don't like when it touches over the ear. So anyway, I tried this new place. I really actually enjoyed it. It was a haircut and a beard trim, and it was like long. It was like 45 minutes, which also I'm not used to that, and very meticulous and careful. But I am kind of curious, because I'm not going to say, but I am kind of curious for people in Discord or who are listening that like to comment. I'm curious what most people pay for a haircut, because this is ramped up quite a bit from what I'm used to. And I'm curious if that falls into maybe I've just been used to paying a relatively lower price.
Are you willing to say how much you paid for your last hand job? I'm barber experience.
Maybe after I hear what other people are paying, maybe next week I'll mention it if you bring it back up. Because I don't want to influence. I am really curious. What do most people pay?
You say influence like my wife says Ziploc bags.
Yeah.
Influence.
So I'm just curious. I'm curious what I know. It's certainly for the average male because like my wife's haircuts, she only does them, I think, maybe once every, I don't know, month or two, but they're way more expensive. But if you add add mine up, it's certainly more expensive than hers if they're that often. So I'm just curious what people pay for like a haircut or a haircut and a beard trim. And I've always seen female people to cut my hair, and having a guy do it this time was actually nice because he sort of understood how the beard was growing more so. And like last time she decided to just like cut this part out. Like she just took part of my facial hair out, and I have a patchy face. So I need hair to grow because that's how it fills in the beard. So when you take this part, the top part on the two sides out, all of a sudden
it looks
I'm back
weird.
to like, yeah. So anyway, I am curious if you're listening and you like to comment or you're on Discord, I'm curious, just at me and say what you sort of usually pay. Cause I'm curious what most people pay and how often maybe they go. Anyway, this week in PoE, we got some stuff. Oh, hold on. For the people that like to complain, there will not be a time marker, but come to this point right now to start the Path of Exile talk.
We have had a lot of recommendations for like timestamps and stuff on YouTube, but we're audio only, and we just, for the sake of others,
is
put it on
because
YouTube.
We love some of the people on YouTube, but it's an afterthought, and I'm not going to put timestamps in. So thank you for the thought and the suggestion. Yep, I read them every single time, and I thank people for them, but I'm just not interested. I know that probably sounds like a dick thing to say, but that's what it is. Anyway, this week in PoE, we got some stuff to talk about.
Lots. And first thing's actually a tweet.
I was just going to say, sorry,
but you go ahead.
I appreciate that they didn't do all the manifestos this week because that spreads this out for us. So I did send them a message and said, hey guys, let's just chill. Let's spread this out.
Sure you did.
Give us some talking points over the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
But anyway, I am really happy that they came out with 2 of the manifestos prior to us recording, because then it gives us stuff to talk about and not feel like we're jamming in a whole lot of stuff. So
yeah, it was spaced out nicely. Some surprise news outside of the manifestos as well, but then also FAQs for both manifestos that were put out. So it was a busy week, and there was only 2 manifestos, and there's 2 or 3 more to go. So yeah. But first off, before all of this started, we knew the manifestos were coming, but we hadn't received any yet. Bex puts out a tweet. I'm going to read it because I actually thought it was really thoughtful. Just wanted to say a little something to all of my Path of Exile.
Didn't you bring this up already? I read this note. You did say this, but go ahead. You told us.
What's the date? This says November 11th, so it wouldn't have been in last week's.
November 11th was last week. You did bring this up, but maybe it was after dark. It's possible.
Yes, that's right, because it's showing 3 p.m. for me, and we would have recorded earlier than that. So my apologies for
no, that's fine.
After dark for regurgitating, but it is good to talk about. So this is Bex. Okay, starting now. Just wanted to say a little something to all my Path of Exile pals. I know that the last couple of months were a bit rough. There's a lot of cool stuff going on behind the scenes that we just can't talk about yet. Everything's going to be okay. Hang in there. I thought that was a really cool tweet to send out. Like really thoughtful. I thought, to me, that's like, you're thinking about your colleagues. You're thinking about your coworkers. They're working really hard on a game. The last iteration of the game, or 2 iterations of the game, hasn't really worked out. Fan wise, who knows what GG would think about it, but it's encouraging to, like, we're working hard, but we totally understand what you're going through. But at the same time, she's also being very supportive of fans, whether you've been complaining about it, whether you've been on board with it. Like, I just thought that was a really cool overall message, really thoughtful. Somebody else writes, please make sure Chris is looking after whoever has to read the subreddit very well. And Beck says he is good at that. And I don't know. Like,
I feel like that's true. That's good.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's nice hearing that kind of stuff, because, there is that fear of the small portions of Reddit that are very loud and, that are that condescending and derogatory. And so It was really cool reading both of those. I really appreciated it. And it was exciting because you and I have been on that point, and we'll be getting into this now as we get into the 2 manifestos that were posted. But we've been kind of on that page with some of the core changes that have been made. Sure, most of them are around Archnemesis, but we've had some complaints about where the core game is, and it's been a little bit discouraging, a lot less fun. And so to have a tweet like that, like that's the camp that we were in. So to have a tweet like that go out before the manifestos, it was, I don't know, like could have just left it alone, not say anything, and then the manifesto surprise you. But I thought that was really thoughtful, and it definitely worked for me because, I kind of felt like that. That was nice.
I'm going to come back to that and make a comment about that as we get through the manifestos, because I do have a thought regarding that.
You're not like me, like you'll be able to remember it?
Yes, because it's been on my mind most of the morning. So
sweet. And then, I mean, this isn't manifesto-y, but Endless Delve started. Is it done? I don't know, but Endless Delve was going on. Hopefully everybody,
it might be over. Hopefully had a good time.
Yeah, hopefully all you listeners had a great time. And no crafting bench.
I didn't play. I was debating playing, but I just didn't have time for it. But then I saw somebody post a clip of Mathil dying to Roas, and I remembered how awful Roas are in Delve. I completely forgot that you can get into some of those zones and they start to res. And I was like, oh yeah, that's not for me. No,
right.
Thank you.
Right. And because you don't have the normal character prep. And so a lot of people on our Discord were talking about how it was kind of their taste of Ruthless because of the no crafting bench. And it was like that before, but the Endless Delve event is quite cool in that regards. And so people were kind of mixing that with how they would feel about Ruthless. Obviously totally different experiences, but just that lack of crafting bench changes everything in your mind. And I remember forgetting that I could use some of those scrolls of wisdom the last Endless Delve event. I didn't play this one either, but
right, because everything cost a wisdom scroll. That's right.
Right. But for some reason, I'm used to starting a character with what they give me on the beach, right? So I'm like, okay, here's Endless Delve. Here's my skill that I start with. And
Fireball.
So I'm using, Fireball. And I'm trying to do Fireball in Endless Delve, and I'm getting all grumpy and stuff. And then I felt like a moron after I realized I could have started with a bunch of different skills.
Right.
Especially with all those white sockets they give you. So anyway, massive week for obviously GGG, but massive week for fans of the game too. You want to just go in order of the manifesto, how they came out? Do Jules, because I'm excited about the Archnemesis one. I could talk about that all day. I barely even made any notes. That's how much I could ramble about it. But let's do Jules and ailment mitigation first. I assume you read through it throughout the week.
I did. Yep.
Oh, one quick thing. I don't know why it drives me nuts that these aren't in there's a dev manifesto folder in the forums. Like when you click on forums, there's announcements. It's not in dev manifestos. These are technically titled balance manifestos, but it's driving me nuts that they're not in the dev manifesto section.
Well, if they're balance manifestos, they're not dev manifestos. So
anyway, I want to be able to like click on the thing and go back and be like, wait, what did they say? Anyway.
Search.
Jules and ailment mitigation. Why don't you start? I've been talking for a bit.
To be honest, I don't have a whole lot to say on this one. I'm actually excited to see the changes. I like the fact that they're doing some adjustments to make uniques a little bit more rare with regards to the unique jewels. I don't mind them changing some of the stuff to be around, like they're taking out the unique jewel rewards, changing them to rare rewards. I'm struggling a little bit here because my head is torn on my opinion and my feeling towards it, and also towards some of the stuff I've read regarding people's opinions of it. And I think my struggle is that people need to remember that it's okay for people to have opposing opinions and thoughts and feelings towards something without having to attack and be nasty about it. And my personal opinion is I'm excited for it. I'm excited, honestly, though, for anything that's new. Anything. I don't care what it is. I don't care if I like it or don't like it. I'm excited for it. It changes the game. It switches up how I play. And I always have the thought in my head that they know what they're doing, whether I agree or disagree. I'm pretty confident in them as a company that they're going to figure it out and make the game the way they want it to be. So this one, it's fun. I like some of the new roles that can come onto some of these jewels. I think that they may become more useful. I think they may be difficult to roll now that there's more modifiers that can roll on a rare jewel. I think that might make trying to roll one a little bit harder, but I don't often roll jewels. I tend to just ID them and go, yep, no good. So I'm not a big, like, I plan around a unique jewel. So I know there's some people who very focus on like they need this particular jewel or this unique jewel. That because it's not the way that I play, it doesn't have an effect on me that they're making them harder to get. They're more rare. Some are being removed completely from the game. I don't actually have a problem with that because I play with jewels as I find them. I don't typically plan around. I mean, maybe like a later build, I might do that. But at that point, I'm probably just buying the jewel because I'm playing in a trade league and I've built up currency and I've played a build that wasn't dependent on finding that specific unique in order to make it work. So I like it. I like when they make things more rare in the game and more RNG-ish and you got to hope that it drops. I do understand some people's feelings towards the fact that it's made it harder or will make it harder for some builds, but that's
Path of
how the game
Exile.
goes.
That's almost every unique in the game.
Yeah. Overall, my feeling towards this was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. And I the only thing I would add to the whole, and this goes to all the manifestos, I feel like grinding gear games is always in a damned if you do, damned if you don't position, which is if they don't provide the manifestos and they just come out with the patch notes, they don't have a whole lot of input from the community, which personally, I actually don't care. But, a lot of times they do take into consideration the opinions of others, which is good.
The next manifesto is clear of that.
Right.
Good example of that.
But I just, 100%. But I feel like they're just screwed either way, because if they don't release the balance manifesto and they just come patch notes, then they run the risk of people just exploding and freaking out. And then they do put the manifesto out and you still get people who are like, well, you haven't fixed it or you haven't sorted this or I don't like this. And it's like, oh, okay, like you need to just chill because this is just a manifesto. We're still a month away, 3 weeks away from the league release. They're giving us a high level. This isn't anything deep into anything. They're basically giving you the very high level of some of the changes and things that they're working on. They're not giving you the details. They're not breaking it down. It was the same with the frequently asked questions. There was a comment about people, well, you didn't answer my question. You didn't answer most of the questions. And it's like, well, literally you can't. That's just not possible to answer every single question. And sometimes maybe they can't answer the question. Maybe some of the stuff that they don't want to say, or maybe they haven't figured out, just can't be answered yet. So
yeah,
I do feel bad. I feel like they're in a tough spot.
Yeah, I totally agree. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. With regards to jewels and ailments, I think it's fun, but I will say I don't care what comes out with any of the balance manifestos. My feeling is going to be, that's exciting. Let's see how this plays out. I'm not going to dive deep into it and go like, well, this particular part doesn't work for me and this is an issue for me and you didn't think about that. I'm cool with it. Do your changes. It seems like they're pretty open about some of the problems, and the next one to me is even more so an example of them admitting and realizing that there were some problems. So I am excited about it. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes people get mad at me when I say this too, but I feel like sometimes people just want to find something to complain about. And I maybe you might disagree with me, but when the argument is, well, they're taking unique rewards out and they're giving us a rare reward and those are almost always junk. And it's like, well, but the unique one always was junk. You knew exactly what it was.
Some people could plan around them, but
nah, you weren't planning around those. Maybe for like
a couple
an act, and maybe half an act. You just weren't. They weren't like a staple to a build.
The one that I actually think that a lot of people would benefit from was the mana reservation efficiency one. That one,
it was so small.
It was, but it was
so small
that sometimes all you need is that 1% of mana left over, right?
Maybe, but not in Act 5 or whatever it was. I just don't think that they made that much of a difference. And a rare, while yes, you might get some crappy rolls on it, that's like everyone. What would you rather them give you? A guaranteed amazing rare every single time? Like that, you can't do that. That just doesn't make any sense. So I'm excited for it, but I was going to be excited for it no matter what. I think it's fun to make unique stuff a little harder to get. I would rather see unique stuff be harder to get and unique stuff buffed, where the uniques that could drop are now going to be, substantially better. That to me is a little bit more fun, but I'm fine with it. The ailment thing, I think rolling on, I think it's on the is it the Abyss ones that can roll the ailment immune?
I don't remember the exact details. As we get closer, once the patch notes come out, that's when I start attempting to soak things in.
I can't remember where it is, but I think it was that ailment immunity was rolling on the, I want to say it was the Abyss ones, and can roll up to, was it 50%? Oh shit, I wish I could remember where it was, but I think it's fine. I'm excited for it. This was probably one of my least exciting ones to read. Curse and Archnemesis were my two I was most looking forward to. So
yeah. Well,
what do you think of that one?
These two surprised me with what they were, especially, of course, the Archnemesis one. But that does make me think, like, what the heck is going to happen to curses? Like, both of these were quite surprising. So for me, I liked the idea where jewels are headed. I mean, it's the same idea. And in retrospect, and I guess I never realized this because quest rewards have always been a part of the game. The unique, jewels have been in the game for a very long time, not always quest rewards. So it never really crossed my mind, but it is kind of contrary to the core aspect of Path of Exile, where outside of your gems, you're finding everything. All your gear, which is including jewels, is drops. Like, that's how it works. And to me, in Path of Exile, for that mentality to continue, the only thing that you're getting from quest rewards are either passive points, right, which of course help you in that random drop pool, right, but it helps you in combat, or the small help of having linked items, right? Yep. So you have your linked, I don't think you get gloves, but you get a linked helmet, you get linked boots, and then this is the idea of, like, to me, the 4 linked, that was Act 9 or Act 10, when you get the 4 linked chest piece. They're like, okay, come on, like, I should have had that by now. But that's kind of the idea of quest rewards. It's like to help you along while you're leveling. It's not build defining. You know what I mean? And I guess I never really considered it until I saw some of the reactions to this manifesto. But that having, like, very specific, unique jewels that always did the same thing was kind of conflicting to how drops actually work in the game. Well, what I think, and so I actually like that they're giving you rare jewels, but I think jewels as a quest reward work differently than linked items. Like, linked items, unidentified, are still a big choice because you're choosing the base. To me, it's all about the socket colors. You're getting a 4-link socket color, right? And you're choosing the base based on how you want to re-roll those colors, right? And so to me, I like that. And that's a big part of just starting to set up your build, whether it's the helmet, whether it's a belt, whether it's flask, whatever it is. Like, you're trying to get those things done. But for me, if you're going to give a rare jewel as something to help you set yourself up, I think you actually, my opinion, my hope, and I do like where they're going, but I kind of hope they have the quest rewards for rare jewels as identified, because there's no other purpose to them outside the mods, right? It's not like you're getting the socket colors to help you out or actually finally getting a 4-link of that one item base. But if you have identified jewels, then where do I have it? You could have, like, one that's guaranteed to have, like, something to do with spells, something to do with melee, something to do with projectiles, something to do with minion. You know what I mean? And so that every class of character has something and they can see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but aren't there some mods that only roll on certain types, bases of jewels?
Right. So if you have that, but I mean, that's a knowledge that you, of course, would have to have, like anything else. But if you have them visualized, then you can at least, okay, I know I'm going to get a spell something. So I'm at least going to get one relevant option here. And again, it's at an item level where it's just setting you up. It's not going to carry you. But I really like the idea of where jewels are headed. And I think this, even though I didn't know it, I do like the change. Or I didn't know it ahead of time. I do like the change. I did see some complaints about how the difference between, so we're going on to ailments now, but ailment mitigation, reduction, and avoidance, like complete avoidance. And people were saying, well, just get rid of the avoidance and just go with reduction. And I saw a whole bunch of different comments about how a lot of this seemed redundant or pointless. And I disagree with it, because armor and evasion are two of the 3 basic defense types in the game, right? Armor's all about mitigation, and evasion that's all or nothing, right? You either evade it or you take full damage. And that, of course, had a little bit of a problem. So a few leagues ago, they introduced spell suppression, right? So you're not taking full damage all the time of something, right? Well, I guess, wait, that's for attack spells. Anyway, never mind. So you have armor, which is all about mitigation, and you have evasion, which is just an all or nothing percentage chance. And I kind of like having that same mentality within ailment options as well, right? Like on that same side of the tree as evasion, you have ailment avoidance, and you could have the other side on the armor side where it's all about mitigation. And so if you're the type of player where you like that avoidance, I think that's good. It already matches a defense type that's in the game. So I kind of like it. Now my personal preference for playstyles is always about mitigation because, I get frustrated with one shots off the screen. So, and I'm not fast, so I can't play the avoidance game where I'm actually physically dodging spells and attacks and that kind of stuff. I have to take the damage because I'm slow. But
I think they did a good job too with that, because what they did was ailment avoidance means you're just going to avoid it entirely.
Right.
Whereas reduced duration and reduced effect means you're just trying to mitigate what happens to you when it does happen. Right. And what they did was they made it so that the ailment avoidance was on abyss jewels, because multiple abyss jewels, first off, rolling it's probably not super easy at that 50%, but also abyss jewels don't fit everywhere. So you have to, they do a little bit more. Maybe it would be different if you couldn't slot them into the skill tree, but gear wise, they're very limited to what you can do with them. So at least in the meantime, you could at least run something that was reducing the duration or the effect of them. I don't mind having both. It gives you some ability to adjust your build on the fly with regards to ailments. And I can see what people are saying, but then that's making the assumption that everybody's going for ailment avoidance. And sometimes that's not always feasible for every single build to do that. So yeah, I think it's fine to have all three of those different versions to deal with ailments.
No, it's just like the armor, evasion, energy shield. People have their preferences based on playstyle. One thing that I really like, though, I do like hearing from GGG the mentality behind it. So I'll read something here. This is about ailment defense. You often need to stack several jewels in order to have adequate levels of protection, referring to ailments. We feel that this is an excessive amount of investment for how necessary ailment mitigation is to a character build. And I thought that was interesting, like for the mitigation, for it to not need to be a big focus to have an appropriate amount of mitigation. You know what I mean? Like you have to have a lot of focus into your primary defense type, armor, evasion, energy shield. But mitigation for ailments shouldn't require that same value of investment. So they're saying, I don't know, I like hearing that kind of stuff, because it's like, okay, yeah, you do also need this, but we're making it so that you have just a few nodes, just a cluster. You know what I mean? That's all you need. And so it was neat because now it's like regular jewels. So these are just regular, not corrupted, not abyss, not anything. Regular jewels can roll up to 35% reduced duration or reduced effect. Abyss jewels can have up to 50% ailment avoidance.
Mm-hmm.
So get 2 abyss jewels, you're set. You get 3 regular jewels. I mean, that's of course at a max roll, like up to 35%, but still, even if you're like going for reduced duration and you're going like, and you get 75%, 80%, that's still huge. Reduced effect at 80%. And that takes you 3 jewels.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think really them good. Finding ways to make it easier for you to get that is a good thing, because it is true that what it required before was quite a bit, because you were also combining stats from the tree to also help you with your gear, and then maybe jewels as well. So this is good. I think it's good because you also always could just throw on purity of elements. So depending on how you're setting your build up to be able to get to that ailment avoidance should be easier, but not super easy. And I like that.
Yeah.
I did find that quite a few times with a build, trying to get to 100% avoidance was quite difficult in the current state without having very good rolls on gear, plus your tree. Hopefully you're on the east side. Like it was hard to get a build to that point. So I think this is awesome. And I like the fact that you still have to plan. I mean, even if you had 2 max rolled abyss jewels, you're either going to have the sockets for them, you're going to have to run a Stygian Vice, you're going to have something in the tree. But now that's all you have to have.
Right.
Literally a Stygian Vice and 1 socket on the tree, and you're now ailment avoidance at 100%.
And
so
that is a max roll, so it is something that's nice to go for, but it is cool. I also like that now that the values are much higher, you have the opportunity to, no matter where you are on the tree, have legit ailment mitigation or avoidance. Like it doesn't matter where you're starting on the tree now, you can get the type of protection from ailments you want with 2, 3, whatever jewels. So
right.
I do.
And it's
I do
fun
like
that you're doing it in a different way. It means that there's not one set way now to get ailment avoidance, which it definitely felt like you either ran purity of elements or wait, no, that was only elemental ailment. But it felt like you had to be on the east side of the tree, and now you don't have to worry about that so much because you have the help of these jewels. So I again, it's new, it's fun, it's different.
Yeah, I also don't mind. I saw some worry in the community about what's it called? I'm forgetting the very easy word. Dilution, mod dilution, where it's going to be just harder to find what you want. It seemed like the GGG seemed quite confident that it was like a normal item. It was to find exactly what you're looking for with a T1 roll is probably not going to happen. But if you're looking for one mod with a nice high roll, you'll be fine. You'll probably find the mod you're looking for, but maybe not the highest mod available often enough if you're doing the chaos spamming reroll bit. So be curious.
One of the facts was isn't diluting the mod pool a nerf. And they said if you're looking for a specific outcome on your jewel and have no use for ailment mitigation modifiers, it may be marginally more difficult to roll your jewels. However, the average outcome for jewels should be better.
Yeah. So overall, I think it's pretty cool. I'm excited for it. I'm curious to see what people that are actually going to give the shot a chance, not someone that's already decided how good or bad it's already going to be, but someone who's actually interested in that part of the game. I'm curious to see how jewels play out for those that give it a chance.
That modifier you were talking about for mana reservation has been moved now to the regular mod pool as well. The one that was on the Conqueror's Efficiency.
Imagine finding that just out of nowhere. Hey, let's say it rolls with the mitigation you're already looking for. Easy peasy, right? So, yeah. Want to move on to Archnemesis?
Yeah, because the fact was basically just what we kind of talked about. So
let me get a drink of water.
I'm surprised they came out with this one so early with the mods and Archnemesis change. I do appreciate it because it was the one I was most excited to read. And I think it also was a really good one actually for them to get the community talking. Although this is very much a case of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because I was just blown away by the amount of people that were also ultra negative. And I felt like I couldn't understand. It was hard for me to understand the reason. See, the thing is, when Archnemesis came out, we were excited about it. We thought it was great.
Very excited about it.
And so was the community. Hey, there's going to be a single name for this. It's going to be awesome. Now you're going to be easier to see. You're going to know, blah, blah, blah.
You don't have to read all this white text.
Right. That was very clearly not what ended up happening. And now I'm hearing some of that same argument that now it's going to be too much reading. And in my head, I'm going, well, they've said there's 2 to 4 modifiers, and at least those 2 to 4 modifiers mean something. And I get that a lot of people learned what Archnemesis was, but I highly doubt that there were very few people that fully understood what every single Archnemesis modifier meant. They might have just known dangerous, run away, easy, I can kill. But knowing exactly what the modifier did, it was just too hard to know. And for a newer player, that's tough. It's really tough to know what something's doing. So I'm kind of excited. This one completely shocked me.
Me
and
too.
I have to give them props.
Yes,
because they put a shitload of work into Archnemesis and they held to it. Like we thought it was never going away.
I think it was 2 leagues. I think it was 2 leagues that they did it. I think Archnemesis was
2 leagues that it was
ago.
Actually a thing. It was, you're right.
As a core game.
But they held to it for those 2 leagues, and we thought it's not going.
Right. Well, like, even at the beginning of this league, Chris was, I forget if it was Ziggy. I think it was Ziggy who asked Chris at the beginning, in the interviews, like, so Archnemesis, what any tweaks happening to it, anything getting removed? And Chris's comment was, we're very happy. Last league was where all the tweaks were. We're quite happy with the current state of it. And that was at the beginning of this league. So I totally agree. You keep going, but I as well am completely impressed with, GGG put so much work into this, like you said, and I am so impressed with them that they modified Archnemesis and the direction, just the big concession for them. I really hope they're happy with this direction. I hope it's not a concession that they're regretting and that they wish the game was a different way. I really hope that this is an exciting change for them and it's not just grumbling and then whatever. But anyway, keep going, please.
I think for me, the Archnemesis would work great if Archnemesis became what they're doing right now, which is kind of what they're doing, which to me, it was always hard. And they mentioned it right off the bat. Keyword mod names were not fully descriptive of what they did. The mods often had multiple effects bundled, which made them hard to understand. Due to the many effects that were included in a single mod, it made too many encounters too complex, which is true. And and then the whole loot thing was a whole different thing. But to me, Archnemesis, we talked about this forever, and I've been saying this for a long time too. Archnemesis, it's not that the Archnemesis idea isn't fine, like the whole magma barrier, that's cool. You can read the name easily. It's just that they did too many things. It wasn't descriptive enough, which they tried to in there. One change when they were like, we've made these easier to understand. It was like, no, not really. You haven't really helped that. But it was the problem that didn't describe exactly what that modifier did, because there were 4 or 5 modifiers that went along with it. I want to see magma barrier and know that
that's basically like a shield barrier.
Yeah, he's got this fireball that sometimes explodes around him, and that's fine. At least if that's it, then that's it. It's something that's visually clear. I know what the word is. So I like that they're kind of going to a direction that says mods say rather. So they're saying mods say what they do rather than having a thematic name that you have to learn to remember. I like this. We used to have this before. I didn't really have complaints about it back in the day. The problem back in the day was you just got to this point where there were like 6 modifiers, and it was hard.
But some of them were more sentences as opposed to just a word like cold damage or magma barrier.
Yeah,
right.
Some of them unfortunately have to be longer, so it's kind of tough with some of them. But
I don't mind that though. When it says weak to fire, resists fire, like that's easy to, as you get used to the game, you skip over resists and it's like, okay, fire, lightning, okay, but then you get, when you're looking to see if your curse is working or something, then you can look and it still says resist to fire. Like you get used to where the placement of words are. So
I still think they could go one step further and make it so that, yeah, when you mouse over, you're going to see the words, but make it so that the name tag has like an icon or something that correlates to the modifier, that, if it's doing fire damage, it's got a little fire symbol, and if it's takes less fire damage, it's got a fire symbol with an X through it, or so. I don't know. I'm not really sure what, but this game is not easy. I don't even know how you guys do it on console, but to target something specifically to know what it does is still really hard. The game moves quite quickly. It's very busy. So to be able to actually dial in on what that rare has, it is still hard. And I don't know the solution to that, but that's probably one of the biggest struggles with regards to modifiers on rares.
Mm-hmm.
But this whole change completely blew me away. I love that they're I do agree with you. I hope that they're happy with it, but I think that what they're saying is what a lot of people have been saying, which is it just was, at least for myself, it was very difficult to understand. And I've been playing since Archnemesis was a league. I know what a lot of the modifiers do, but I don't know what all the extra stuff that comes along with them does. And then when you start to combine multiple Archnemesis modifiers together, you just have like some super monster, which isn't fun until you can just walk through the game anyway. So I do appreciate the fact that, yes, I'm going to have to mouse over and I'm going to be able to see it, and I'm going to know at a glance what that modifier does. I hope in some way they're still able to make them look cool, like the dudes with the magma barrier and the mana siphoner. As much as I hated some of the modifiers on them,
the visual clarity for some of those that you brought up were fantastic.
Right.
And I really hope some of that stays, or a lot of it's added for sure.
Yeah, you don't want to see just a normal mob that looks no different at all, but it's got like 4 terrible things on it. It's nice to see something visual. I think it'd be cool to see something in the name tag that somehow correlates to those modifiers, so that at a glance you can see them versus having to mouse over top of them.
Having like a 10-word name.
Well, I just want a couple icons. Just a couple icons. But you can't do that if you have 80 modifiers. I understand that. But well, maybe you can, maybe you can. I'm not really sure, but I did not expect this one completely. I think you messaged me on the day and I was like, I'm not going to be able to read it till later.
No, I know. I messaged you and I'm like, it's like they were listening to us. It's like they agreed with us. It's like everything we wanted. I couldn't believe when I opened this up, I was expecting like balance changes, but this is like a complete rework. I mean, this says a balance manifesto, but this is a complete rework of one of the most core features of the game. Like, this is how you fight enemies. This is how you recognize enemies. This is 99% of your game, and it's completely reworked. And I love that. I mean, yes, this was where our opinion went, but I'm still so impressed with the fact that it is just a complete, like, there's from my mind, without knowing how things work, they can still use what they have. It's just very stripped down, very dumbed down, and who knows how they go about, wording what these mods are, how they're going to visualize it, because there's probably going to be way more than 80 modifiers now, right?
You think so?
I think so. I
don't think so. I think they dump a lot of them.
I think you dump some, but there's still some that make sense. Like if you come across an enemy in Act 2 and it has a mod that resists fire or resists elemental damage, that makes sense. You know what I mean? I mean, so some of them are quite easy. Some of them don't even need representation, like the defensive ones, but the offensive ones definitely need some sort of visual representation. But I just love. I
wonder if they're going to go back to the way it was before, where they were kind of color coded.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see.
Some of these were too. The Archnemesis ones were, but they were
my favorite line in the whole thing was, it just says the goal of the new system are mods do one specific thing. I was like, oh,
it's so crazy. I can't believe it. You read through it and I had to reread it so many times. Like, it's one of those things where you just can't wait for that change to be applied.
I'm excited for it. I know there's some people who are on like the opposite side. I don't quite understand it. And this is, to me, it just cracks me up, because you had a community that was just exploding about not liking Archnemesis, and then they're like, you know what, we've heard it, we're going to make some changes, and then people are like, well, now you're making it too easy, and now I have to do, and it's like,
how about we just wait and play? It's
play the game and then find out.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely am very excited to see what this is like, and I just, oh man, these changes, like you're going to have, so far they said they were doing what, 2 to 4 modifiers for a rare enemy, right?
That's what they're currently testing with.
Yeah, just to see if it works. And remember, I mean, they've changed that type of modifier from just normal Archnemesis from the time that Archnemesis came out 2 leagues ago to now. They've changed. Okay, so in this part of the game, they can only have up to 1, and then this part up to 2.
You could add that to the Atlas tree too. They could bring that kind of thing back into the Atlas tree, that it adds
maybe
to modifiers or something, and you get like a percentage increase to quantity or something.
Yeah, so it was really neat. They also said that a lot of they're testing all the balance values for all of the different mods they're putting on, but some of them are going to be juiced up quite a lot because now they're standalone mods as opposed to coupled with something else. Yeah, so that was kind of exciting. And then what else did they say?
Did
rare
you like
monsters.
The thing about special? This is the special hidden modifiers. What did you think about that?
Oh, that's a big subject. That's Magic Find. Okay. So let me don't forget that. Someone's asking about how like increased damage, HP, and defenses. Yeah. Well, it's all the same. Under the new system, GGG says that rare monsters will get life, experience, item rarity, and quantity bonus per additional mod,
which is awesome.
Yeah, but I like that there's just a default life there, so that's not damage. That's default increased life per mod, which is really nice. So time to increase their life on the tree again. What else did they have? Then there's some questions about specifics like a headhunter and how ignites work and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So anyway, there's so much that I wanted to say on it, and I'm just kind of drawing a blank. But overall, I'm just so excited. I'm impressed that they were willing to make a change. But to me, the more that I know about my enemy in game as quick as possible, the more fun it is. The more I'm learning, the more I know what I can do. So hopefully, like if they have any of this stuff where it's like 50% physical, 50% lightning, and then there's nothing in the game that tells me that. I mean, obviously the situation's still a lot better than it used to be, but hopefully there's like, if you see a lightning skill, it's all lightning. So when you die by lightning, you can look at your lightning resist or something. Or when you die from this poison projectile, you can look at projectile avoidance or whatever. You know what I mean? Like hopefully there's not a lot of the conversion stuff that's hidden. But I cannot friggin' wait. Now, onto your Magic Find bit, though. I have no problem with how Magic Find works, and I didn't have a problem. I know that you had some comments about it. We were kind of on the different page, though, when it came to Magic Find for the last 2 leagues. Because for me, Magic Find is always the pro and con of you're sacrificing something for survivability or damage for the sake of getting more loot. And that's always the case. And whether you know which monster has a potential to give you loot or not doesn't change how you're by default going to play the game. If you feel like the type of player where you
most.
Well, yes. So when you see that there's a high reward and you know this is a high reward person, you already made that choice when you were building your character if you wanted Magic Find in your own build or not. And if you're going to be dependent on another person to come in and help you with magic find just so you can maximize that reward. To me, I don't find that as a design flaw, because you make that choice when you're designing your character. You're either doing that with your character already, so because great items don't have to come from only one item, from one enemy. And that wasn't the case with the previous Archnemesis system. Sure, it gave you more opportunity, but that wasn't the case. And so I get it from a min-maxer's perspective, where it's like I felt like I needed to because I knew which monster it was. But to me, that's a personality quirk. That's not a design flaw. Like, that's just somebody that's like, I have to. It's like missing out on a Black Friday sale. That's what the previous Archnemesis that people didn't like the 318 and 319 version of Magic Find was like. To me, that was like people either nailing or missing out on the Black Friday deal.
But it wasn't, though. But this was specific to 319 when they changed that the Archnemesis modifiers would correlate to the items that they drop.
I get that.
And the problem was, the problem that I have is that if you say that it was the whole like Diablo 3 loot goblin, that's what people correlated it to. The difference was a loot goblin, when you killed it, dropped extra stuff. That's just how it worked. It didn't matter what you had. In this particular case, in order to try to maximize the reward from that loot goblin, you had to have very specific items and setup in order to kill it to get the maximum from it. And you're playing a game where the loot that comes from that is needed to build your character further. And it was such a huge difference between what you would get if you just killed it normally to what you would get if you brought somebody in who had a focused magic find build. And that's where my problem was. It's not the same as saying like, oh, I just got unlucky, this one didn't have very much on it. It was, in order to get what I need out of that, because I want to continue building my character, I need to have somebody else help me kill that one particular character that happened to roll those set of specific modifiers that will now make it give me way more loot than I could get from running the next 100 maps. That's where I had a problem with it. It wasn't
devil's
the same.
advocate is, why wouldn't you design your character to take advantage of the core system? If that's what you
can't
really
make
wanted.
a magic find character that can clear all the content. It was calling on a very specific type of character that could not kill anything. It just had the ability to call. That's it. It had the ability to call with all the magic find particular modifiers on its gear. It couldn't kill anything. That's it. Its only goal was to come in and call the monster, get all the loot. That way you get the most loot. That to me is a design flaw. That's not a fun way to play the game.
Yes and no, because there are plenty of characters that didn't min-max that method of bringing in a magic find color. That I guess we've been over an hour. Look at that. We're like 40 seconds over an hour and my phone's D&D turns off.
I'm not saying that everybody needed to do it. I'm saying that it existed in the game, and that's where I had a problem with it, was in order to maximize it. My feeling towards it was, if you look at Diablo 3 with loot goblins, you killed them because they had an increased chance to drop stuff, but it didn't matter how you killed them. That's what I like about this change that they're doing, because now it's like this hidden modifier. Granted, you're not going to have these little loot goblins running around that you're going to know they're going to do it, but there will be a hidden modifier that you will sometimes just get more stuff. That means I'm getting rewarded for just playing the game. I'm not having to try and focus on the fact, which I never did. I never did do the whole like loot find. I found that I killed them before I found out. I just got a shitload of whetstones. But I didn't like the fact that in order to try and maximize that, I had to try and find those modifiers and then either use a character or a person that could come in and just call it. That's a silly design. That's a terrible
I still don't. I must be missing something. Like what does culling have to do with anything? Like,
the
I
kill
can stand
on the
back.
Monster is what determines the magic find and the quantity.
But if I could stand back, I don't have to do damage.
Who are you? Are you the caller or are you the
I'm not
player?
the caller.
So you just call somebody in who can call a monster. You've gotten down to 10% health. They hit it once, they call the monster, and you get a huge amount of loot. That's all they're in there for. Then they leave.
No, I grasp that concept, but what am I missing? Because that sounds like any other game. That sounds like the exact same thing that it is now, except now you don't know who to call. That's exactly
it. You knew exactly what monster to look for and to then find somebody to come and get it. It's way better if you don't know.
Well, I agree, but to me, that's still a personality quirk. That's not a design flaw.
No,
you're
it's
still
not,
choosing at the beginning.
The game is built on loot. The game is built on
Right.
loot and currency. You need those things to progress your character. And if you're going to make it so that this particular dude, when it spawns, don't kill it. Go find somebody else to come in with all the extra gear. Versus now, I can try and build up some quantity and rarity on my gear if I can, and still get the benefit when I kill it.
But
granted, somebody who's got...
To me, it's still the same. The only difference is the knowledge of knowing which one. That's the only difference. Like, I know they're making other changes.
You can't make a person who's a current color that's built just to cull to clear anything. They cannot clear anything. It's not a viable character except for that one purpose. So the difference is now I can build a character that can actually play the game, try and if I can work in magic find rarity quantity into it, but still be able to clear the game, and I'm going to get the benefit. The thing is, it takes that particular style of character that cannot do anything else except cull and makes them not necessary. They don't do anything anymore. You don't need them.
Well, to me, it's still a personality quirk. To me, it's still...
We're going to just disagree on this one. That's not a personality thing. To me, it's a design flaw.
I like not knowing better. But to me, when I came across an enemy that I knew had the potential of dropping a lot because it was one of those loot goblins, I wasn't disappointed when it didn't drop anything because I knew ahead of time how I designed my character. You know what I mean? But that's a personality thing.
That's how you look at it.
Right, exactly.
And if you're trying to min-max a build in a loot-based game, making it so that the person who has a friend or a service that can come in with that, give them a huge advantage is silly. It just is.
I don't see anything wrong with that at all. You either sacrifice that for your playtime or you don't. Like, to me, that's just how you and I would choose to sit down and be like, okay, let's start a couple characters. How do you want to play them? That's how it is to me. But I do like where they're going with this. I think it's a lot more fun for the general community to have. I know there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me, but I let the game choose. Like, the less you know about the drop experience, I think the better. I like the random aspect of this game. I like that they're looking at the different types. Like, I thought, the loot goblin bit where all of a sudden you'd get 50 flasks. That was kind of dumb, right?
That one's going away.
I mean, yeah. So I'm glad that they're going through and they're kind of filtering, like, what is it that people actually want a lot of, and trying to figure it out that way. And I have no problem with it being visualized. I have no problem with it being hidden, but I do like that it does seem like it's going to be a big improvement for the community.
I like that the hidden aspect of it is tied to your increased likelihood based on more modifiers, which is why I think it would also be fun for them to eventually add something to the Atlas tree that gives you the chance to, if you wanted to, add more modifiers to the monsters, because as you progress through the game and get stronger, eventually the modifiers tend to mean less, which I admitted they did with Archnemesis too. It eventually got to the point in Archnemesis where you didn't care. It's just that ramp up was so steep to getting to the point where you don't care. So I like the fact that they've said that the rare monsters with more have an increased chance to have this hidden reward special modifier, but I don't want to ever see that. I love the fact that you won't know. So just try to, what it does is it makes it so a normal character who used to play a magic find character but could still clear content now becomes even more fun, because you didn't feel like you hit this wall. It's not a wall, and maybe you're right, it is a personality thing. It's just that this game is focused on the stuff that dropped from those monsters. So
there's a huge excitement when you know that's the guy. I do.
But that you could also lose out if you didn't do it, which I didn't
get
either.
That devastation. Like, when I build my characters, I'm never doing magic find, item rarity, anything like that. And when I see that one where I'm like, oh, that was it. Oh, like, I still, knowing my choice, I'm still very crushed that I didn't actually, for that one opportunity. Like, I get the disappointment in missing out on it for sure. But anyway, keep going. Sorry.
So I like the fact now that you for a person who liked to play magic find at a normal magic find, like where you were actually still clearing content, now you feel like you're getting that reward again, where it felt like before, make something that's high damage, make something that clear content easy, until you find that modifier, which I don't have a clue how people were doing that. I honestly have no idea. Things were dead before I noticed they were god touched or whatever the hell they all were. I didn't know until I was picking up whetstones off the ground. But I like the fact now that if you like to play magic find, play magic find. There's no difference. As long as you can clear the content, you will never know. Besides the fact that you have a higher chance, the more modifiers on the monster, you just need to be able to clear the content, and you could be rewarded for it. And I do like that.
So GGG had a comment about that. People, one of the questions in the FAQ was, does this mean I'm forced to play magic find all the time now? And I mean, that's a summarization of a lot of different questions regarding Magic Find and how it works now. Because, of course, there was the previous system had the opportunity for you, because you knew who the monster was. You didn't have to
For
play
one
Magic
league,
Find.
that question's hilarious.
Right. But then you would bring in somebody. But it did become a big talking point.
For
And so then
did.
it was like, okay, I don't have to play Magic Find, but I'm going to bring in a designated individual because now I know which enemy it is. So now it's kind of like, now GGG's saying, no, it's just back to the way that it always was. So their quote is, if you, no, I already messed it up, and that's 2 words in. If you're able to sacrifice character power for Magic Find, then you'll find more and better items. That was true before 3.19 and is the nature of Magic Find in all action RPGs. Note that Magic Find has diminishing returns, so a small investment can go a long way. Now,
this is how it always was before 3.19, yes. And I love that.
And I do really like that now. To me, the idea of hidden mods, whether I know about it or not, just the fact that it could apply to every enemy, and the fact that it's now tied to the quantity of mods on an enemy. So quantity of mods on a mob.
Yep, got it.
Well, it just makes it feel like it's a wholesome part of your character. You're not wasting that. And so maybe people did feel that before, I don't know. But the fact that now it's very obvious, hopefully that's knowledge that I remember, but that Magic Find has diminishing returns, that's exciting. Maybe all of a sudden now that one necklace that gives you item rarity as an implicit.
It's kind of funny that they say that, because that always has been the case, but there's nothing in the game that tells you where that diminishing return kicks in.
No. Yeah, of course. That's not new. Hopefully that kind of stuff changes as we get closer to PoE 2. Now, things have changed in item rarity and quantity recently, though, and I forget what it was. I don't know if it was only for maps but how does Magic Find work now? Because they got rid of item quantity as a modifier and as a gem billion years ago, right? Now it's just item rarity. Now, for Magic Find, to me, that's improving item rarity just improves basically the amount of drops you get. So if 100 items
quantity.
drop.
Quantity is how many items drop. Quantity increases how many items drop. Rarity increases the chance that it's rare.
But does that work? So if 100 normal items drop, the more item rarity I have, the more rares, quote unquote, will drop.
Apparently.
Okay. When it comes to currency, is it the same way?
So my understanding, I have no idea if Magic Find has changed, but quantity was the thing people focused on for currency.
Quantity. But how do you focus on quantity when it doesn't exist as a mod?
Well, there's gear with quantity. There's lots of gear that you can get. There's uniques.
I thought they got rid of that, though. That's what I said at the beginning.
Nope. They got rid of, there used to be item quantity support, I think there used to be. That's gone. I think there is still the rarity one. But quantity still rolls on uniques. There's quite a few uniques that have item quantity on them.
I swear they had a post not too long ago that's talked about item rarity and quantity acting the same on gear right now.
They definitely have not removed quantity from many unique items.
See, it's so hard looking at Path of Exile stuff. The first stuff that comes up is from 2018. Goodness, if it's from January 2022, it doesn't even matter. Dang. Well, we'll have to talk about that in After Dark. I'll do some research beforehand, because I swear there was a post about it.
Yeah, I know for sure quantity is still on a lot of uniques. That's why you'll see people wear. That's why the Ventners are popular, and the Biscos, and because that's all got quantity on it.
That's interesting.
And that's why you're trying to increase the quantity on your maps. And it used to always be, I can't say for sure, but it used to be that the focus was quantity, not rarity, because quantity is what increased your div cards, your currency, anything currency related. So you were pushing the quantity, because rarity, the problem with rarity, if it still works the same, is increasing your chance to get a rare is not that
There's
great.
so way too many drops already in the game. So it's not like you want more. I mean, it does improve your chances
didn't seem to
of a good
affect
drop.
Currency. It'd be cool if it affected your currency, like the more rare currency. But as far as I understand, it does not affect currency. Only quantity affects currency.
Well, we'll do all research and we'll chat about it during After Dark.
Anyway, I'm excited for this new change. I am. It was my most looked forward to manifesto they were going to come out with. Balance, not dev. And
sure.
And it made me really excited when I read it, because
I couldn't believe that it actually happened.
Yeah,
I'm so impressed with them.
I am impressed too.
And
not an easy decision, I'm sure.
No, I guess not. And I'm curious when the decision was made, and like, yeah, I don't know how much work goes into preparing that for 320. Like, that's so much work. You know,
they
maybe
did a lot of work of trying to make it work. They did a decent job, but it was just, I felt like it was an uphill battle. They were always going to fight because it wasn't clear enough. And unless you were going to drop them down to 1 or 2 modifiers, but when they posted that one, I think it was last league or whatever, when they were like, here's what they do. I remember the first time reading it going, what?
What? No way.
I'm never going to know.
I thought it was just skills. Never. I thought they just gave you skills.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just the fact, like, just when character clarity is something that GGG is pointing out, you know, stuff like in-game knowledge for us, that gives me a lot of hope going forward for the future too, right? Because it's something that there's a lot of other examples from older decisions where there's not a lot of clarity going forward. And this was discouraging when it first came out 2 leagues ago because of the lack of clarity. Even I know the intent was completely different, and I know it was completely unintentional, that like they mentioned, like, we're simplifying this for you and it's to communicate better with you. And then of course it unintentionally ended up being the complete opposite. So just the fact that it's still a focus, still trying to get clarity and knowledge to the user in game in a quick way, can't argue with that.
I saw someone on Reddit, because I did decide to check Reddit yesterday, just because, you know,
after you said you were never going to check again. Good.
I like to check it. Well, and props to this one person who made similar comments about how, you know, give them credit where credit's due and to make changes on something that would have been so difficult. And again, I joked about this last episode. I think it very instantly made me go, no, I shouldn't be on Reddit, because the responses were just dicks. Like, don't you dare give them credit. What do you mean? They messed this up. Don't trust them. They're not going to. And I'm like, holy Jesus, guys, just wait till the league comes out, play it. And if it doesn't do what they said it was going to do, then make a stink. But
they'll fix it if
it
doesn't.
They're trying.
Yeah.
They're trying. I'm excited for it.
And out of nowhere, we got the name reveal.
Yes.
Just out of nowhere.
And
looks cool.
Such a good teaser. The music, the audio, the sound design. Oh, it's good. So good.
And it was just like a big boss battle that didn't die right away.
Like in a room with candles on them and
with stairs that don't get in your way.
Yeah, you could walk up or down or sideways on them.
Perfect.
Never heard of
really,
like
those
that
are the
before.
best. Those are the best. But so yeah, name reveal. Oh my goodness, I forgot to write down the name. What is it?
The Forbidden Sanctum.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that looked bossy. So
it did. Five. Coming out December 9th for PC. And then the 14th for console.
I'll do the damage. You be the magic color.
Yeah, that's right. December 1st is going to be the their announcement thing or the reveal thing.
11 a.m. for us, and then the usual Q&A with Ziggy D. Glad they're doing that.
Thursday. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Nice. Good. And then the league itself is launching December 9th, PST, on PC, and 14th on console land in console land. So. Yeah, so December 1st and December 9th, PST. Can't wait. It's funny because it's been discouraging for me as a massive Path of Exile fan to play the last couple of leagues. And I unintentionally took off, didn't play much. I was basically taking a break from 318. And just that break, because I accidentally took the break, didn't mean to, but I was just so frustrated with the game. And so super excited to get back into it, but the same things that frustrated with me about 318 still for the most part frustrated me with 319. But of course, it's still my favorite game, and I'm still playing through it and going through. And just any announcement they make, even if I was discouraged or disappointed with the previous core setup, because remember I play standard, I still get excited. I still get super stoked. You know what I mean? Because there's just something about not just how they do the hype and how they do their marketing, but it's still such a good game, even if there's certain core aspects of the game you don't like or don't agree with. There's still so much fun to do. And so I'm glad that I'm excited for it, that I wasn't that discouraged about it, but I also hope that I wasn't too vocal about my discouragement. Hopefully next time, if I ever get discouraged about something, I remember how exciting every change is. But this coming league looks... I don't think I've ever been more excited for a league because of the Archnemesis changes coming. Honestly, I don't even care about the league. Just I'm excited to play Archnemesis. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine. Anything new to me is good. I'll take it. That's why you come back to Path of Exile. I don't come back to Path of Exile to play the exact same thing every league. I'm not a standard player. I want change. I want something new. I want something exciting. And the Jewel and the Ailment one was fine, but the Archnemesis one has been very exciting. I'm excited for the Curse one. Yes. I don't even remember what the other one is.
I don't either.
So it doesn't even matter. But yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to the league in December, and yeah, see what else comes this week. Did you play it all this week? Do you have anything to talk about? Are we good?
Eldritch Altars. No, let's skip it. We've talked long enough. We can talk about that next week. Yeah, Eldritch Altars was the last one, and then a potential fifth one if it was needed.
Right.
So we've done Jewels and Mitigation, we've done Archnemesis, and now it's Curses and Eldritch Altars.
Mm-hmm. And remember, people, these are manifestos. They are not patch notes. They are still being sorted. So this is just a teaser into the minds at GGG and what's happening. So I'm excited. Looking forward to it.
Samesies, J-Dog. Samesies.
Sweet. So we can wrap this up. Episode 163 of Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, AK Tags.
Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Patrons, we'll catch you in After Dark. Everybody else will see you next week in episode 164. If you're looking for more information, you'll find it down below. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. We have a very fun Discord, which you should be a part of. And Patreon, other ways to support the podcast, you'll find that down below. Don't forget to hit that 5 stars on Spotify and Apple if you're listening, because you guys are awesome. Bye.
Bye. And yes, I agree. You are fantastically awesome.